Hi there, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about one of the most difficult things that had ever been said to me by my physician. And I was very new into my type 2 diabetes diagnosis. And man, I'm going to tell you something. I don't want this said to anyone else, which I think it's going to get said to other people, unfortunately, because it just happens. I don't understand how doctors that have been in practice for 20 and 25 years, how they can just pointedly, it's almost a cruelty type of thing, can say things like this. Okay, so to get to the point here, um, I'm going to reiterate a brief part of my history here as a type 2 diabetic. I started out this journey with my diagnosis 3.5 years ago. I was extremely ill when I went to the hospital. I had sepsis. Didn't even know that I was a type 2 diabetic. Had I known how easy it was to begin to reverse type 2 diabetes, I would have done so a long time ago. I did it through diet, and if you can look on my playlist and see diet can help control this disease. You can look and see my story. You can see my history. But anyhow, I came out of the hospital and I went to a doctor that was highly recommended. And one of the first things he said to me, it was, this disease is only going to progressively get worse for you. You're going to need additional medication through the years. You are going to need more medication, and it's going to go into your diseases, going to go into less control. And eventually your organs are going to start failing you. I don't believe, based on the doctor that I was seeing and knowing his personality, that he was trying to scare me with his tactic. I don't believe that was his purpose. I don't believe that at all. I believe, based on the patients that he had seen through the years, that this is what he was seeing as common. I don't believe he understood that diet could control this, except a month into this, like I went to see him, I think 2 months after my initial diagnosis. He said to me, eat little to no carbs. So he knew something, but he didn't go into much explanation with that. And at that point, I was already eating little to no carbs. And I said, oh, that's what I'm doing. But he still wasn't letting up off his horse. There's one good side to this. Because he was so harsh, I was so determined that that wasn't going to be my case, because I wasn't going to continually see this disease worsen in me. I just wasn't going to let that happen. So I was more determined, but at the same time I was so scared that I think that in itself was making me feel sick. So I'm going to tell you, if you're newly diagnosed, or if you believe that your disease cannot get any better as a type 2 diabetic, I'm here to tell you, in the majority of the cases, that is absolutely false. Cutting down on your carbs really makes a huge difference. I went from an A1C of, I believe, 11.8 down to 8.5, down to 7 point something, down to 6 point something, down into my fives. And I'm in my fives. I'm working towards getting below 5.7. Today I'm 5.8. I've went from being on insulin. I was sent home from the doctor, from the hospital, with 2 types of insulin. There was a long-acting and the short-acting. Because I immediately left the hospital armed with information, disarmed myself with, and I'm not downplaying the American Diabetes Association, but I felt that their carb recommendations and snacks and diets was going to only cause me more harm. Personally, me. May work for you, but I didn't think it was going to work for me. I armed myself with a low carb diet. My husband and I immediately went to the grocery store. I was so weak that I rode one of those little motorized carts, and that was pretty embarrassing, but at least I was out and I was alive. And went home with much lower carb groceries and started on that immediately. At that point, I began eating less than what was recommended on that website. I'm not saying this will work for you. I always give this disclaimer. I am not a physician. I am not downplaying the American Diabetes Association or any other association out there. I'm not giving you medical advice. I want you to talk to your doctor. But I am telling you what has worked for me. What works for me may not work for you. But I am so totally against the thought that diabetes will always just go totally out of control and will only gradually worsen. I'm 62 years old. 3.5 years ago, I was almost 60. And I was pushing 60. And I had always felt healthy all of my life. And I was determined that I wasn't going to be one of those that just gradually worsened and needed more medication and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how many people out there don't realize, because of their doctors, that there is something that they can do for this disease. It's called low carb. I started out with 50 carbs a day. I had to drop it considerably. Probably 2.5 years later, I had to drop to 20 just to continue to see my glucose numbers get into the range that I wanted and to continue losing weight. I dropped to 20 carbs a day. I eventually dropped to 8. Then I dropped to 5. And now I go pretty much no carb for the most part. I've said before in other videos, you can't go no carb though if you eat eggs and you eat cheese and certain other things, because a lot of our products, even animal products, have half a carb. I believe a large boiled egg has 0.6. A lot of your cheeses, hard cheeses, natural cheeses, have 1 carb per serving. But that's the route I take. Is it working? Oh my goodness, yes. Just 2 weeks ago, the metformin that I'm on, remember, I went from insulin, I went to glipizide, and now I'm on metformin. The doctor lowered my dose, and my glucose numbers, my fasting numbers have not increased. So I am at a lower dose of this. This is continuing to work. This low carb lifestyle. I don't want to call it a diet. It is a lifestyle. I personally have the mindset that there is no such thing as cheating. This is a way of life. I avoid the ice cream. Wow, in July and August, did I want an ice cream? Yes, you certainly bet I did. Did I want French fries? Yes. Sometimes I want potato chips and dip. It's not a craving. It's just more of the comfort foods that were in my life before. Where are they now? Can I ever get them back? I'm thinking that someday, maybe as my body heals, I may be able to imbibe in a small little bit now and then. But that's not even the point right now. The point is I'm getting healthier. I'm not getting sicker. And do I want to get sicker and intentionally make myself sick by digging into those things that I know I shouldn't eat and that my body resists and that it's going to throw my body into turmoil? And, if you are a type 2 diabetic, you may experience this as well. But if you do hit a high, like one time I went to, I'm not going to name it, it was a drive-through fast food restaurant. And I ordered a diet soda. I don't drink very many diet sodas. I used to drink a lot more than I do now. But I wanted this particular diet soda. So they have fountain drinks, and I ordered that fountain drink as a diet. When it got handed to me, I noticed that the little perforations, whatever you want to call it, on the cup lid, the diet had not been pushed down. I thought, they're in a hurry. By that evening, I think I was up to, my blood sugar shot up to midday. It was at 107, and by that evening, it had shot up to 162. I looked at my husband and I said, wow, had I still been on that fast-acting insulin, I would be in the range of needing to take it, because I think 153 was my range. If I went over 153 blood glucose readings, I had to take a small low dose, whatever those doses were. I never took the short-acting. I never had to. I came out of the hospital, immediately went to 50 carbs, and my blood sugars started going down from that day. I mean, by that evening, my blood sugar was less than it was when I left the hospital that morning, because I was on a different diet in the hospital, which had been taught to me, and I wasn't going to follow because they were following something that my body can't agree with. So, I'm here to tell you that type 2 diabetes doesn't necessarily have to get worse. And I really want to say that's a lie. It really is truly a lie. If it scares you into believing that you're determined and you're going to make this condition go away, okay. But don't let it scare you so much that that you wallow in bed and you're depressed and you're crying and you're saying, I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do about this. I'm going to die. But every night you have your mashed potatoes or your cheese and macaroni or your ice cream or whatever it is or your healthy whole grains that aren't healthy for you, or your smoothie in the morning with the whey powder and the beautiful organic fruit that, yeah, it is beautiful. What am I trying to say? It's nutrition across the board, but it doesn't work for your body. It may work for someone else's body, but it doesn't work for you. So I want you to remember that you do what works for you. Your A1C is your tell-all. If I can go from 11.8 to 5.8, and I'm pushing 5.7, my 30-day average right now is 5.5, I believe, according to my app I use on my phone. I always seem to have something happen to me between now and then, like the diet soda error. And then when I go to the doctor, I'm like, I had this perfect 5.5 and now I'm 5.8. But just remember something, and when that happens, like if I shoot up to 162, it takes me 2 or 3 days to get things regulated again. So I still have healing to do. But the thing is, my blood sugar drops. It doesn't stay up there. It drops within an hour. It drops within 2 hours. It drops within a day. I may see that high pop up just a little bit again, but it drops. But I'm here to tell you that you can begin to heal. The only way that you're not going to do this is if you've let this go for so many years. And I don't know how long that years takes, because I'm not a medical, I am just not an expert at this. 20, 30 years, you've blown it. You don't even have a pancreas anymore. I don't know if you can even survive without one. I have no idea. But I do know one thing. When you're newly diagnosed and your doctor says this is never going to improve, that this disease is only going to worsen, that a year from now you're going to be taking more medication, more insulin, and you're on a really high dose. I was on like 10 milligrams of lisinopril, and that was just the long acting. I never went on the short acting. So I believe now, based on comparisons to others, I don't think I was on that high of a dose of lisinopril to begin with, but it was enough. I had to have it to help control my numbers. And that doctor, I would like to stand in front of him and show him my records of how far I've come. I'm even off of blood pressure medication. I almost hate to say this because I'm afraid that the good luck's going to run out and jinx myself. But you can do this too. Maybe you can't reverse, but you can get better. And I encourage people, and those people that stand with me in the grocery store and, I've had these problems for 5 years and I don't believe in what you're doing. How can what you're doing be healthy? It's better than dying from diabetes. It's better than having my toes and my legs cut off. So let me know what your struggles have been in the comments below. And also please let me know what you've done to get better or what your struggles are. But please hit like on this video and subscribe and click the bell button so you will always receive notifications. I'm fairly new to these videos. I'm trying to build my numbers up a little bit. I am so passionate about several things in my life, and this type 2 diabetes and how it was initially handled, it irks me to no end. It irks me. This is a whole nother topic, but it also irks me that doctors don't listen to us. You can tell a doctor the diet that you're following and they can go, oh no, you've got to be on 900 calories a day and what you're doing isn't working, but your numbers are going down. And I'm talking about glucose numbers. Your weight's going down. Your blood pressure's going down. It's my understanding, I've heard 2 or 3 different doctors say this in their videos, their YouTube, that general practice doctors receive about 1 hour nutrition guidance while they're in school. 1 hour. I don't expect these doctors to be dietitians, but I expect them to understand the main problems associated with type 2 diabetes that leads to type 2 diabetes, and that is diet. And prescribing medication just to cover up the symptoms and just to make the symptoms look better isn't healing. It's just a death sentence. I agree with that doctor. It's just a death sentence. Hey there, thank you for watching. Please remember to hit the subscribe and like button. Help a newbie out. Thank you. Bye.